It is a beautiful spring day in St. Petersburg, Florida, and we are going to look at beautiful things with a couple of friends who are really fun and love the kind of stuff we're going to show you. Now, we've been to Andrea and Friends before, but there's a secret I didn't tell you the last time. Let's go see. So I am with my friends Carol and Marilyn, and Carol on this side of me here has a YouTube vlog as well called Fashionista at 80. They're twins, can you tell? So I said, let's start here because this place has a whole secret room that you haven't seen yet. I think one of you could pull that off.
I think it's probably Carol.
And this is Andrea, who owns the shop.
Oh, with amethyst. And it's gorgeous.
And wow, what a beautiful brooch. Do you think it's mid-Victorian? I've never seen that kind of construction.
Could be 1870s, 80s maybe.
Yeah, wow, that's really pretty with that big dome.
Is that what they're called? Wedding?
Yes, they're matching. They would wear one on each arm.
Oh, really? Oh, I didn't know that. What was the reason for that?
I don't really know the whole reason, but that's what they've always been called. I've had real big bangles with egrets and all kinds of things on them that were amazing.
How much is the Victorian piece? I'm just
I'd
curious.
sell that for $4.95.
$4.95, yeah. And is it rolled gold or gold filled?
It's gold.
Oh, it is gold.
This is 18 or 14.
Oh, that's 14.
That's 14 and that one's 18. Ah, very good.
Those are 14.
And how much are they?
They're going to be $4,500. So much gold in
Oh, I
there.
have
So
really
much.
good taste.
They're just,
I have really good taste.
yes. But yeah, that, I mean, the gold value's got to be
Yes,
up there
gold
because of, with gold at 2,000 an ounce.
You can have one and I can have one.
This is an 1850 lapis and gold 18 karat.
Wow, that's beautiful. Oh, it's a pin. Oh, I see. That is really pretty. Yeah. What a deep lapis
Yeah,
too.
it's very deep. It looks black.
Interesting.
We have a lot of gold filled too that's just really beautiful. That's handmade.
Uh-huh.
Oh, that's neat.
Emerald just came in. It's a 1.2 clear emerald.
Do you test your own?
I had it sent out.
You had it sent out, yeah. And what is this necklace in the middle with the...
This necklace is amazing.
Kind of my favorite.
Every one of these pearls
Oh,
are
wow.
South Sea pearls. Every one of these little shiny things are diamonds.
Oh my
And every one of the beads are rubies. Totally real.
Wow.
Wow, that's
Mhm.
gorgeous. Look at the size of those
Mhm.
pearls.
When they let them actually grow and they don't try to make them all perfect and little and round, then you actually get really fun natural pearls. That is beautiful.
Isn't that gorgeous?
Oh, that's really neat.
What, these are the diamonds here?
They're all diamonds.
Oh,
Yes.
wow.
This is Victorian.
Yeah. Oh, I just love those. They're so dainty. That one's actually a little larger than they usually are.
That one is bigger than a lot I've seen.
Very pretty.
It's gorgeous. Beautiful.
Painted on porcelain.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cameos are down right now.
Yeah.
Should I say that?
Well, that's fine, but they're still selling. What I'm noticing is the prices aren't as high, but they're moving.
That's all hand done. All hand
Oh,
done.
she's just beautiful. I like that head wrap.
Oh, yeah, right.
Oh, neat. A piece of
And
hair
that's all
jewelry.
enameled.
Yeah.
And that one has hair, leaves, and they make a flower.
Oh, that's so
Which is unusual,
cute.
too.
Yeah, usually you just see rope chains and things like that. Boy, you do have a lot of nice rings, though.
We really do.
That's a sapphire. I would not have known. Oh,
Beautiful.
that is really pretty.
It's a gorgeous setting, too.
And this is a natural ruby with diamonds.
Oh, it's so exciting to see real jewelry.
Mhm.
So down here and to the right is the secret room I did not show you last time, but I'm going to show the three of us. So this room is fun because it has a whole lot of boudoir items and compacts and, yes, jewelry. So we are in the secret room. It's not really a secret if you come here, but a lot of people don't realize when they walk in that they're not just in one chamber. I showed you that other chamber of dealers before, but this one is fun because they've got a little different bunch of stuff in here. Let's look. This case has a lot of Asian art and artifacts, and while some of these pieces are 20th century, you do see some earlier Chinese pieces, these blue and white plates. These are going to go back to dynastic era, late 19th century primarily. This is a Jinko emperor doll And this is a very detailed one. This one is priced at $450. Look at everything that went into that. Here's another nice blue and white piece. And then in the middle, this is Imari coloration. And that looks to be all hand painted. A lot of Imari nowadays is transfer wear, but that is earlier and it is hand painted. The Fami rose, you'll see the people in the Fami rose when it is that rather than rose medallion, which is all flowers. $325 on this bowl. Look at the difference in the quality of the painting, but also just the general style. This one has more outlining and is more precise, but that actually makes it later in time, and that's why it is priced at $195. And then this one is earlier and has more detail, and that one's priced at $595.
Yeah,
That one.
I like the brown one.
That's what I mean.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, the brown carved one. That
Yeah.
really is a highly carved one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, I like that a lot.
Yeah, that's a pretty one. Maryland has a lot of Bakelite.
Do you?
I do.
Do you like particular colors in Bakelite?
Not really. I really like all of it.
Yeah, yeah, me too. Anything carved can be just about any color it wants to be.
Yeah, exactly.
And I've actually gotten there. Some of them can be awfully silly looking, but I've actually become very fond of these wooden pins that they made in the Second World War.
They're wonderful. I think they're wonderful.
I just think they're great fun with the big Google eyes, and the fact that people were making those because they couldn't get other materials, and then it became a phenomenon. I just love that.
Do you think they had forms already, or they didn't carve them, did they? They already had the blanks?
I think a lot of them were hand done. I mean, I do think that after they caught on to it, that then they made forms and they did ones that were the same. But you can tell some of these, I think, were just somebody did it.
And look at that. Is that a horse there? Or
In the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and the stirrup hanging off of it. Yeah, whenever they have extra parts like that, you just wonder, how did that never break?
Yeah. Those are the things that I like, are the extra parts.
Sometimes things are cheap because they're a bargain, and sometimes they're cheap because they're cheap. And earrings are Kramer of New York, the big gold balls hanging down there. Those are definitely a 1960s look that would have a lot of motion if you were wearing them, and they're priced at $65. Kramer's a good brand. Here's a Vendôme set, the gold set here. It's supposed to look like faux pearl, but it's actually a synthetic, but they are really neat looking, also popular in the 60s. And then behind it, this bead strand here is also Vendôme. There's always a lot of play in the Vendôme pieces. They tend to mix a lot of different textures and colors so that they look good either casually or formally, depending what you're wearing. Scandinavian sterling jewelry with enameling. We have some nice pieces here, David Anderson and various other makers. It's a little flipped over there, but I really like that color of green in the bracelet there. Weiss had them made for them, so other companies made them originally, but you see the rhinestone studded round earrings there, and that's a look that people really enjoy because it's got a lot of flash and a little bit of color. 1960s vintage, and those are priced at $35. And notice it's in an old ring box. Old ring boxes are definitely worth buying if you see them, because dealers love to use them for display and oftentimes will not sell them. And look how cute this is with the matching shoes from the 1960s with the clear acrylic and the cute little turquoise and gold design on them. Now here's one ring box that is for sale, and it's $45, and that's because, again, the older ring boxes are very prized. We're going to step back from this a little bit and show some other very pretty pieces. She does a nice display where she divides things by color, which makes it pretty easy to shop. Moonstones are definitely popular in costume jewelry because they just have that really great look where they're opaque, but they have a little bit of shine and almost seem translucent even though they're not. That silver tone set with the moonstones is priced at $145. If green is more your color, well, there's a cabinet full of green. This is a really fun set here. Signer and Haar and a lot of the better jewelry makers did a lot of these sorts of sets with the faces as the main part of the display, and they are definitely collectible and usually sell in the $200 to $300 a set range, sometimes higher. And then if you want something a little more formal, the black was usually considered holiday color for formal occasions and stepping out, and this black Venetian with the gold in the beads is a really pretty set with the necklace and bracelet. This is a Hattie Carnegie set in the middle here. Hattie Carnegie is very collectible. I like the little earrings here with the pastel stones set in black. That could be worn in spring or for holiday. I like this Trifari piece with the interesting beads. Look at the star effect on the bottom of the beads there, interspersed with gold beads, and it's only $48. That seems like a pretty good price for that piece of Trifari, I have to say. It's tempting at that price. This is a look I've always liked, where there's clustered rhinestones that are turned into circular or semicircular pieces that look like beads. I need to show this piece because they're very proud of it, and I don't blame them. They have it priced at a little under $1,000, and it is a really neat French inlaid 19th century piece with the painted center under glass. Isn't that unusual? This case has a lot of garnets. They have some very nice garnet jewelry in this mall right now, and Victorian gold-filled jewelry, which is very popular again. These are not solid gold, they're rolled gold or gold-filled, and it doesn't matter a whole lot because the market is very hot for these right now. And a bunch of carved shell cameos with a carved shell with a cameo in the center of them. I always like those shells. Interesting to see this here. This is M. Zaremski. This is done in Poland. They have a gallery there. I saw it when I was in Gdansk in the amber market. That is all amber. That is a lot of raw amber that's not highly polished. And it gives it a really different look, and people really like the textural aspect of that. A piece like this over in Gdansk would cost easily in the high hundreds of dollars. Here, I believe, if I'm reading that right, the earrings are $249. Another fun set of Georg Jensen with the ear clips and the little round pin. This cup is attractive because it has a nice design, but also I like the matrix in the stone. That really gives it some dimension. Now, some people want a pure, perfect turquoise with no matrix, and some people really like the variety. It just depends on your taste and how it's being set. For example, that kind of a stone would not look good in this little pin. This little pin has very perfect little turquoise stones, and that is appropriate for the setting. And a nice old pawn piece here. Old pawn means it was sold back in the days when this wasn't just done by designers to sell through jewelry stores, but was actually made on the reservation and then sold through the pawn shops to tourists coming through. That usually dates it to about 1950s or earlier, and that is definitely more desirable. That one is priced at $395. And my friends were just commenting on the pink pigs. Look at the ones coming out of the little suitcase. Marilyn's got a big collection of these, she says. I think they're very sweet. They're from about 1910. There's something like 150 different varieties of pink pigs. If you like a more contemporary look, the floral painted one is a Dansk pig from the 1970s or 80s. Some famous whimsy ceramics. Here we have the Little Red Riding Hood by Hull with the floral transfers around her apron. That was done in the 1940s. The poinsettia transfer, I believe, is the most desirable. This is priced at $125. And then we have the nice sunflower wall pocket and Toodles by Lefton. We don't see a lot of Toodles. He's very cute for $75. Unlike a lot of clear glass, clear rhinestones are very desirable, particularly if they're nicely faceted. There are also quartz pieces that look like this called pools of light, which are polished quartz, and those are very expensive. Some very sweet little shoe clips there around that big, chunky, interesting crystal necklace, which is priced at $195. And then the big gecko shoulder pins. These shoulder pins, geckos and big cats and things like that were very popular in the 1980s, and they are very popular again now. This one with the rhinestone eyes is priced at $295. They're called shoulder pins because you would wear them climbing up your shoulder. Let's look at what else is in this room, because there are other things besides jewelry and Chinese items in here. In fact, there's actually several dealers back here. Some nice 19th century landscapes. They're signed. They're not people that are known as important listed artists, priced in the $300 to $400 range. Interesting display here of militaria. I like the hats. You know I'm going to put one on, right? Which one? Which one? Do I want to be in the Coast Guard today for $45? Or the Russian Army? I don't think anybody wants to be in the Russian Army right now. Let's try this. Reporting for duty in the African region, because I've got my little head cover there. Wings are very collectible, and they designate different duties in the military. You see one has a bomb in the middle of it. One has a regimental shield. Prices on these are often in the $45 and up range. And then these are Grand Army of the Republic, the two with the boots. About 20 years after the Civil War, they and the Confederate veterans would have various encampments and get together to reminisce and talk about things and how life had changed in the years after the Civil War. Now we're going into what is known as Marjorie space, and everybody who's around here knows Marjorie space because Marjorie is a picker and she gets things that are priced pretty inexpensively, and sometimes she gets some fun stuff and sometimes we shop in her space. This woman has the look of I hate housework. Now it is a hodgepodge, but we'll see if there's some fun and interesting things that stick out here. This looks like Alaska clay to me. Let's see if it is. I don't know why a camel would be made in Alaska. Nope, it is not. It looks like it's actually Japanese made. $10. I've never seen this guy before. The Alaskan clay often did have this ivory with the darker streaks going through it, and that was done in the late 70s, but this is earlier than that. Old Sanka can with the Swami on it. I have a coffee can for sale here as well. Let's see what she's asking for hers. Hers appears to be priced at $20, which is about the right price for a coffee can that's relatively common and in use condition, but has the lid. This little tray here is the fish by Ruble. There's the eye in the fish. There's the base. Ruble is an obscure company that did a limited amount of ceramics. That's just got a great look for $10. I think that might be a winner. A rather pretty hair receiver in the middle of this shelf. This is going to be Moriage. It's only $15. You can see the little raised enamel beads. This is before they had to put Nippon on the item, so this is going to date before 1914. It's not as well known, not as highly regarded, and not as expensive as Swarovski crystal or Waterford, but this is Shannon. And Shannon actually has made some nice things, and they've made them long enough that a lot of their stuff is vintage now. This is only $35. If it was a comparable Swarovski piece, it would probably be $135. A couple of interesting Mexican black pottery pieces. This one is Llama, Oaxaca. I just got a piece of Doña Rosa. There's the llama mark on this piece. They have 45 on that. That seems like a reasonable price for what it is. And this one's 35 with the fish. Kind of a modernist design there. Same company, same mark. And then there's this aisle. They have one of these huge wall clocks similar to the black one that I sent to New Hampshire to somebody who saw it in one of my videos. I sold it out of Vintage Modern St. Pete, so this one is in the right town. I mentioned end of day glass, and this is a great example of it. See how the spattering is just a whole lot of different colors. This was just whatever was left in the glass furnace at the end of the day, and they said you can make anything you want out of it and use it up. So it would come out all sorts of strange mottled colors together, but it makes it interesting, and there are people who really look for these. They're a little less precise than the ones that were made for sale, and so usually you see a whole lot of colors in very random ways as opposed to a more even flow that you would see on a production piece. Well, Albee, of all things, the Fremont Fair from Seattle. The Fremont Fair is the first place I ever saw somebody riding naked on a bicycle. Yes, it's true. On summer solstice, they have the parade, and it is led by the naked bicyclers, and it's been going on for years, and everyone in town just knows, don't take your kids unless you want to explain a whole lot of things, and there they go riding down the street. But it's a pretty fun event, and there's posters every year that are collectible. This one's priced at $125. I sold a teak piece by this designer on eBay recently, but this is Ernest Sohn, and Sohn had a lot of things made by different companies using his designs. Ernest Sohn Creations, that's the mark you're going to see regardless of the medium used. This three-piece set looks very much like a 1970s set. At 25% off, some of these Lenox holly patterns are worth looking at, because even though Lenox is not as popular as it used to be, the Christmas and the holly lines are stuff that people bring out once a year and they will add to them. So for example, the big pot there is $30 with the discount. The little bowl there is $18. And then we have a couple of lamps. Notice that this is not exactly Fenton's turquoise. It's a slightly greener cast. This color was not made for very long, and it is desirable like the Fenton turquoise is, and this one is priced at $68. Shelley in Dainty Blue, probably their most popular pattern. Dainty was the blank with this design, with the lobes and the little lines down the sides. And then they did all sorts of patterns on it. The blue was probably the most popular. They want $3.95 for this entire set, including the cake stand, which is actually pretty reasonable when you add up what these would cost individually. This appears to be either a woodblock or more likely a lino cut, meaning they used linoleum and cut different pieces out and then inked them and used the different stamps to get the application onto what looks like a grass linen in this case. Behind you see some needled clocks. I like the figural one, although it looks like he's supposed to be holding something that might be missing. That's why he's only $25. The Sessions clock with the Gothic arch is $85. Speaking of Christmas, well, there is the Lladros Santa. In fact, they have a few of them with the pinkish reddish coat, including the very elaborate Santa and sleigh set for $12.50. When you get into complicated and large pieces of Lladro like this, you're going to see four-figure prices, and they do sell for four-figure prices. I sold the medium-sized gondola recently for over $1,000. And in this great Keen Cutter case, we see everything from coach purses to calfskin. There's lots of accessories to go with all of this jewelry. We'll show some really neat stuff in a case right around the corner here after we walk by this shelf of miniature perfumes. These are all commercial, meaning that they were done for fragrances to be put in them as opposed to you buying a bottle and putting your own fragrance in. But if they have fragrance in them still and the fragrance is good, they will sell for the fragrance. Then here's a lovely layer of compacts. All sorts of different eras. You have the guilloche with the little ring on it. Those would have been popular in the 20s and 30s for the flappers to carry. This one with the rhinestones, the little bottle here, and the compact are going to be 1950s vintage. Some of these enameled are going to be 1930s and 40s. Marcasite jewelry, also very popular now. This is a 1980s piece, but they are starting to make it again. So study Marcasite jewelry now if you're interested, so you'll be able to tell the new pieces apart. And this is a wonderful brush set, 1930s guilloche in sterling in an unusual pattern. I can't quite read the price, but they said there's 6 pieces. So there's some other pieces behind there that we can see. And then there's sterling mirrors from the Victorian era here, and a carved shell cameo turned into a lamp. That is a really sweet little thing too. All right, well, Marilyn wants to take a look in this case with all the silver, and I don't blame her because I see some pretty neat pieces.
Mexican.
There's some Mexican, yeah. I recognize this big cuff here as being Mexican.
Right, this one here.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's a, what is that called? A clamp bracelet?
A clamper, yes.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Those pins.
That one's really a stunner. Let's see what they say about that. It's sterling, of course. And
What kind of stone is that?
I'm not really sure, but I think they'll let us take it out and look. And it does have what looks like a Mexican hallmark.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that's some sort of a polished agate of some sort.
It could be an agate, yeah.
Yeah. Some pave with the abalone.
You see the butterflies with abalone?
I always like the butterflies. This is pretty with the opals in it. That has nice fire. Gosh, and just tons and tons of sterling rings that are hand formed and hand chased. And
see, I like the stones that are dull like that, like the green ones there.
what is it that appeals to you about the duller finish in this stone?
To me, it's more, I don't want to say it's more brutalist, but it's kind of more...
Well, it is a little more brutalist, maybe, isn't it? A little more natural and not so refined.
A little different, I think. You see a lot of bracelets like that.
Yes, that's true. We definitely see that green hardstone with the carving and the faces more frequently.
Right, and these are a little bit more unusual.
And the reason for the open back with the natural stone is what? To let more light through it?
To let more light through it.
Yeah,
yeah.
That's what I thought.
Crystals or things like that, so they really show up very well. It's the same thing really with diamonds, because, you know, if you, of course, because they're good, they'll have an open back, but they have the open back
so that you can see that they're good, because otherwise it just looks like a flat piece of glass. Yeah, I know. I'm a big bargain hunter too. They do have one really pretty piece in here that I didn't see the last time I was here, though. This is Cambridge Crown Tuscan from the 1940s. Yeah, I always liked it because it's shell pink, but it glows opal in the light because this was done in the 40s. And in the 50s and 60s, they changed the formulation so it doesn't have that opal glow anymore.
I love the feet on it.
They were known for caprice, so they did a lot of things that were shell. It's fun to change your collections around. What all have you collected in the course of time?
Oh gosh. Well, now we're into more ethnic stuff like Native American.
Native American, yeah.
African. But we
folk art, Mexican folk
art. But we collected Victorian stuff for a while. Anything with a rose on it.
Yes.
I collected a lot of depression glass.
Oh yeah.
I still love depression glass.
Cookie jars. I was a big cookie jar.
Oh yes.
Glass cookie jars.
Yes, exactly. And those were kind of neat because you could get one of each type and it really shows the patterns well because they're bigger pieces.
Yeah, I knew all of the patterns and everything at one time.
I used to know them off the top of my head without having to look in a book. And now it's been long enough, I still have to look sometimes now.
A few of them that are especially popular, I think, I might still remember, but not too many.
I remember Manhattan because that was my pattern.
You're right about that.
Oh, yes. I really like that. Yeah.
Wow. You talk about a dramatic piece.
That is a really neat bib. Yeah, that looks like it was made in India or Tibet, do you think?
Yeah,
and
like
priced at $3.95. I have not seen that one before.
It's beautiful. Have you seen others like it?
I've seen a few like it in my time. Nothing quite as large as that, though.
That's pretty large.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. You would definitely have to have a
nice black turtleneck.
Yes, exactly.
Let it do its thing.
Let it do its thing.
And you would definitely be noticed.
She seems like she has a lot of Von Domen, I noticed. You don't know why she's finding so much of their stuff, but they did some pretty nice work, too.
Yeah, it looks nice.
A lot of bead work, it seems like.
When would that have been made?
They were big I see them a lot in the 1950s and 60s, especially. And
are they signed?
They are signed, yeah. They almost always have it on the back of the earring clip or something like that.
The whole name?
Yes, yeah, it's written out, so they're pretty easy to identify. But they seem to, they liked a lot of beading, it seemed like, in that period.
It's more simple. It's not as dramatic, but it's pretty.
There is something to that, too. I mean, sometimes stuff is so showy that it's like it takes away from the rest of the outfit, don't you find?
That's true. She's the person who's wearing the jewelry or the person?
Exactly, yeah. The jewelry should not wear you. That is a very good point. And of course, being in Florida, you're going to see lots of stick coral and branch coral and polished coral of all sorts of types.
We have quite a bit of it because my husband's mom came to Florida. She had bought me a lot of branch coral.
It's getting to be harder to find because of the restrictions on coral harvesting.
Right.
And this is interesting. I didn't realize that Miriam Haskell did things with the coral in it either, but she's got Miriam Haskell as the attribution, and I do see the little gold beads, so that does seem correct. Interesting.
Which, is that pretty indicative of her, the gold beads?
Somewhat. I mean, when I think of Miriam Haskell, I usually think of, when you look at the backs, there's a whole lot of wiring. They would wire layers upon layers, and so you see a lot of wire detail in the back of them, and that's a hallmark of her work.
A little modeling?
A little bit of modeling. You see little dark flecks and things, and that's an easy way to tell bone from ivory. Elephant ivory is going to have that herringbone pattern in it when you look up close.
Oh, that's interesting.
And so that's how you can tell. And if you're buying ivory to wear, that's great. But if you're buying it for resale, you may not be able to resell it. So
that's true. I know. When I was in the antique mall, working in the antique mall, there was a woman there that had lots of carved ivory figurines and things like that.
Yes.
And it practically put her out of business.
Lots of cinnabar here. And cinnabar carves really nicely, so you'll see a lot of carved pieces. Some with the Chinese design on the right there, but some more abstract designs as well. Very pretty check necklace. This is one exception to my rule of buying things that are a single color, because I really think that the multicolors in this sort of thing really work, and they're all pastels, so it's definitely a spring look. I think that's very pretty. This is an amazing capri blue and enameled French parure, and meaning in Peru, what it means is that you have 3 or more pieces of the set. You have the bracelet, you have the necklace, the earrings, and in this case, a pin. And you might even have a ring if they made one in that set. That is just a beautiful, really well-made piece from, I would say, sometime in the 1940s. These pieces are Deco here. Very, very pretty with all the filigree. I hear this referred to as Edwardian style, but it really goes into the Art Deco period as well. Eisenberg was one of the first really collectible brand names in jewelry, and this is a great fur clip from the Second World War era. They were really known for these, and a lot were done in sterling. This one's priced at $4.95. Vendome earrings here. This is a nice example of Vendome with the Aurora Borealis. They were big in the 60s especially, and so you'll see a lot of Aurora Borealis because that was new then. That one is celluloid over tin, and the reason why you can see the stain around the outside, if it was just tin lithography, then there wouldn't be anything underneath to get stains. So that's definitely a celluloid wrap with the photo on top. And that's really interesting with the 2 babies.
Yes, we thought they were twins.
And they are
So
twins.
we always like to buy things with twins.
Oh, that's so neat. Yeah, they've got $22 on it. That's so cute. Well, it makes sense that you would collect twin things. I never thought of it.
Really collectible.
But when we see them,
Yeah. Henry and me went to Japan, and she did buy a vintage kimono, but it wasn't silk. It was like a raw silk.
Oh, yes, I like the raw silk.
They worn it, and she's worn it too.
Oh, they're beautiful. And the kimono fit more sizes, but some of these little tops are just so tiny because, you know, in the 40s, how big were people?
They're so small.
I love Elsie and Elmer.
collection of Elsie.
Did you really?
Yeah.
We thought it's Elsie.
We call it the family crest.
Really? Oh, that's great. Tell me that again. So you have an Etsy store and it's called Mimi and Me.
Mimi and me.
And so you're the picker.
I'm the picker and the payer. Well, she doesn't really like me to say that, actually.
We'll just say you're the picker.
She also picks. We both pick.
How
But
fun, though.
It's really fun to do, and she included me in the title of her store, which I thought was very sweet.
Oh, that is very neat. And,
Yeah.
well, and she should because, you know, you're helping create inventory.
Oh, that's a big one. Oh,
That
he
one-
doesn't look so good. No, I was going to say he definitely doesn't look too good.
He looks like he's having a bad day.
Yeah, he really is.
He's lost his hair. And
Yeah, he lost.
he has a little
his
bump
hair.
on his nose. Yeah, the original ones were had shrunken apples
I
for heads,
know.
which I just find so fascinating.
Shrunken apple heads, the
Mhm.
original ones? I
Yeah.
did not know that.
Yeah, well, I'm from Washington State originally. She did know that because she's collected a while, it sounds like. It was a promotion for the apple industry,
Oh, is
and
that right?
that's why they used the shrunken apple heads. And then it caught on, and they realized, oh, well, these are not the best material. So,
They're
Dawn
getting
keeps trying to get
wormy and rot.
How do
You
you
know,
get the name Skookum? Is it in India?
basically, Skookum is like good luck, good juju. Yeah. Ooh, there is a big old pond boat. That is a neat one with a big stand there. Somebody had a lot of fun with that when they were a kid, and now it would be fun to show off in an office display or as a focal point in a lakeside house, perhaps. Oh, you have Seminole dolls?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, neat. I just love them.
Not very much
well, it's
money.
so cool
How are
because
they? I don't know. I can't see. Does it say $5?
45.
$5 is my price.
$5 would be great,
not
yes.
theirs.
Yeah, I usually get 30 or 40 for that size. Yeah, there's a lot of collectors for them down here. And
Well, here especially, yeah.
it was such a big deal at one time. Anyone who's old enough and lived in Florida went to the trading post and bought from them directly back when you could do that. I haven't seen this signature before. It says it is Nekasov, which makes me think Russian? Yep, there it is on the bottom there. But I don't think this is Russian made, even though that's a Russian sounding name. I think this was done in the West. I like the hammered copper and the bimetal, though.
The silver on it?
Yeah,
I like when they mix the metals.
I like mixed metal too, and it seems like that's a popular thing again. When I was a kid, mixed metal was a big thing, and then it seemed like it went out of style, but it's back, and I really think the contrast just gives things a little more oomph. Kokeshi dolls, yes. Yes, this is something I was familiar with from living on the West Coast and just assumed everybody knew about it. And then you come to Florida and nobody has heard of them. And yeah, you're right. I think they're really neat. I love the little faces.
They're from LA, so I'm like,
So you know them too, yeah. So you're just moving into this space, huh?
yeah.
It's going to be fantastic. I love the Haywood Wakefield, and you've got a little bit of vintage fashion going. And
I love
textiles.
Oh, that's neat. So there's going to be a lot. I bet I see some bark cloth and
I love stuff from Bali.
a lot of batik and,
Yeah.
oh, beautiful. And some molas. Oh, it'll be fun to watch your space develop. This is great.
Oh, yeah.
This is adorable. I love the little dowel legs. I haven't seen one done like a figural before like that.
I have a small collection of those. They're Iroquois, I think. The one in the back there, the little purse.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I'm not
yes.
sure if that's very cool or not.
Okay, and
You
maybe
would
it's
probably know that better than me.
well, you know, it's very it's very three-dimensional.
Yes, because it's like the whimsies that they made. And yeah, that'd be my guess, probably Mohawk or Iroquois, sure.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I really am attracted to this one.
I like that one too. It's different.
Is there a designer on that
That's
one?
not, I don't believe native.
No, I don't think so.
You know, sometimes you go into these antique shops and you have to like stand on your head to
Yeah,
try and see what the prices are.
I know. It's a bad problem. The dealer prices it with a tag because they have it out at a show and people can just pick it up. So they put the tag on the bottom, and then when they go into the store, they just put it in the case because it's got a tag on it, and they're not thinking about, oh, but the customer can't see this. Are you finding that this is just really, really hot right now? Because, yeah, I can't keep it in stock. I think
Really?
I have one piece of Native American right now. I have one turquoise ring.
Beautiful.
Oh, I do like that. Yeah, I like the wedding vases, and that's got a really nice mark on the bottom.
What is it? How old is that? That's not really old. It's
Probably
contemporary.
more contemporary, especially with that really elaborate signature on the bottom.
Yeah.
The signatures become more and more a feature of them as time goes on. Yeah, but they were more modest about signing things, and then they realized that people wanted
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
Who made the necklace you're wearing?
Oh,
Well, she bought that for me.
I did, and you know what? I don't know.
It's really fun.
In a boutique, isn't it wonderful?
It's really great.
It has another piece, too. It has another rubber piece that you just wear kind of as a choker. But I use the other piece to hang a lot of things off of.
Oh,
So I even got a glitzy belt buckle at a thrift store, and I made a necklace out of it, and I used the rubber neck piece to put the...
It's very fun. They do have a lot of really good designer pieces in sterling as well. There's Jorgensen. Nice three-piece set there of scatter pins. It's unusual to find all three because people often broke up those sets and don't realize that they were meant to be sold as sets of three. These with the cut work and the mother of pearl are really interesting as well. And I'm going to do a quick view of my space. Oh, I see a hole. Something is sold. I have a lot of very expensive porcelain right now, mice and birds, and these pieces of Capo di Monte. But I also have a lot of things that are in the reasonable price range for people who just like the look, like these later porcelain women, which are priced in the $20-some range. I have not wired that chandelier yet, but you can still see in my space because I did bring in some lamps. Yippee, I feel swell. I'll meet wieners. A whole lot of Sebastian pieces. These are $9 each choice, even the large ones. I got a very large collection all at once. This is Meiji, Japanese, this brass vase on the right. I really like all of this metal here. Art Nouveau era. The brass candlesticks are probably a little older. Those are English. And then back in here, I have furniture stacked on furniture, but there are some pretty things. The Russian samovar, I'm surprised I still own that piece. It's $145 with the tray all hand painted. I thought that was pretty neat. And some other nice big porcelain pieces. A really interesting scenic piece of Bristol glass in the back there. And then on this side, we have glass, we have bronzes. So I've really tried to bring a lot of fresh new things in here. Oh, and I see something else is sold as well. Oh yes, that's right, some Fenton pieces sold for me. So we'll just move that one over so we don't have a hole. Always like to fill the holes. We don't want people thinking they missed out on something. Still have a couple of the die-cut calendars, including this one, which somebody took down to look at and needs to be hung back up. So we'll do that next. One Torquay piece left. I think that's all I have from that collection. So if you're interested in any of this stuff, just send me a timestamp of where you see it in the video and tell me what it is, and I will try to set you up. I like the old coffee tin and the mucilage. There's even a Seven Dwarfs beach plastic back table cover from the 1970s. How does vintage clothing work into what you're doing? Because obviously you're dealing with people who have a certain taste.
I don't think that people in general enjoy vintage clothing. I love vintage clothing.
Yes.
Girl, and I always wore vintage clothing.
Oh, yeah.
And I still have pieces in my closet, but at one point I thought maybe it's getting too old for it. But now I'm thinking, nah, you're not too old for anything, right?
Exactly. That's what I really love about your channel and your whole ethos is that, no, you just live your life and enjoy it. And if something looks good, it looks good. And it doesn't matter if it's new, old, or in between. So,
well, I appreciate that. The one thing I do enjoy a lot is I have a Mexican jacket, one of those wool ones that were made in the 50s. The little man and lady and dancer, the senorita.
oh,
Actually, she got me started on that. I was very excited because usually those don't fit real well. They're usually really small too.
it's the sizing with vintage fashion that's the problem. A lot of nice looking things don't fit people today.
The women maybe were smaller.
They were a lot smaller. And the sizing was also different. Yes, the sizes were a 6 now is the equivalent of an 8 30 or 40 years ago. And that's deliberate because they don't want us to all know that we're getting big. What I find I do well with in vintage that seems to transcend and go with a lot of things for a different look is if it's an accessory. Purses and bags and jewelry and maybe coats and things that are a little more one size fits all do well for me.
Women wear hats more?
The women who like vintage fashion wear hats more. Women in general, I don't think do. You know, hats were, it was a different era. It wasn't so easy to, well, you had to have a hat, but also it wasn't so easy to take care of your hair as it is now. So you covered it with a hat. And then the bouffant came and that just killed the hat industry and made hair what it was all about. And now everything is about hair. So. Well, I just want to thank you ladies so much for coming. This was so much fun. I am just glad to see you again, and maybe I'll see you in Portland, but you keep appearing in different places around the country like I do, so I'm sure we'll cross paths again soon. And for all of you folks out there, it's great to bring all of this to you. I hope that you have as much fun as we do, and remember, you are never too old to look good, and you should always have fun, right?
Right, for sure.
And if you want to have some more fun, check out, what's the Etsy shop?
Oh, Mimi and Me.
And Etsy and your
Fashionista at 80
on YouTube. That is awesome. Well, thank you so much. I'm so glad you came. If you enjoyed this video, check out this one. Also, click thumbs up to like this video and check the description for information about our Patreon, our memberships. We've got a lot of different levels with different perks and bonus videos and early content. Also, please do check out our website, theantiquenomad.com, for appraisal help. And we'll see you again for more adventures in the antique and vintage community soon. Bye for now.